I used to have these spiritual experiences, and I had a problem with drugs back then. And it seemed to open up my consciousness to a force that was, it seemed like maybe it was the devil's power. And I was struggling because I tried to tell myself that couldn't be what was happening. I wasn't taking it serious enough, but I'm drinking this Dr. Pepper with cream soda. Cream soda and Dr. Pepper time. The treat that treats you right. Pour it in a glass of wine. Can we start this again? 1, 2, 3, clap.
3, go. We are live!
That's a bunch of bullshit. That doesn't tell me what that's
Anyway, I'm going to this new group home that's going to be an all-night shift thing. I'm pretty curious to see what kind of intuition comes to me in the middle of the night.
Guess it would have been helpful if I start recording, huh?
I guess so.
Yeah.
So I lost a bunch of product. Oh, no big deal. I can grow more, I guess. But it was a new strain I'm working with that won the psilocybin cup.
You were talking about music in the 60s and how that had a big influence on culture.
Right.
But I don't really think the music had as big of an influence as all the LSD they were doing.
The pot and psychedelic cult, whatever else it may be, is new and different. Unlike the nihilist beatniks of a few years back, today's LSD cultists say that they are turned on, not turned off. And if they talk of dropping out, they do so because they reject square society and claim they can build a better one. The psychedelic people are not in the historic pattern of dope addiction. Their drugs are so-called head drugs, ranging from such natural substances as marijuana and hashish to LSD and other artificial concoctions. These head drugs are not physically addictive, as are such body drugs as opium, heroin, and alcohol. An LSD enthusiast will inveigh against liquor as fervently as a 19th century temperance crusader.
Well, I think the music was a byproduct of all that LSD, right?
People want to talk about things being psychedelic. That's sort of like a proxy for them to talk about things being spiritual, in my opinion.
This is why spiritual traditions are helpful. They believe these experiences are real, which is why they are so important to the traditions. This is because the Hebrew Bible is a prophetic text, one that brings us closer to the power and timelessness of the prophetic experience. Why should we exclude ourselves from tapping its resources, especially if it can help us with our psychedelic journeys?
When I was in probation, I couldn't smoke weed no more, so I was looking to, find something they couldn't test for, which ended up being DMT.
The hallmark of a major psychedelic experience, especially DMT, is the sense that what you are seeing, thinking, and feeling is more real than real, more true, intense, relevant, and convincing than anything you've ever experienced before.
Exactly how DMT alters human consciousness has eluded scientists, mystics, and the average Joe that smokes DMT.
I'm just the average Joe that smokes DMT.
Currently, there's one particular spiritual model that hasn't been associated or discussed in relationship to the psychedelic experience, at least not very often, in fact very scarcely. And those would be the Western traditions, especially that we call Judeo-Christian. Many of us have rejected these religions, let alone even considered them in the first place as playing a role in our spiritual lives. This is usually because of how we perceive them being misused by unscrupulous people in order to gain power, fame, and wealth. Even worse are those who commit terrible acts justifying themselves through distorted readings of the Bible. Add to this our childhood experiences with these religions. No one answered our questions about the strange language and stories, laws, poetry, and wisdom. But now, as psychedelics bring us deeper into spiritual matters, how many of us as adults have actually looked carefully into what these traditions teach?
The spiritual basis of both Judaism and Christianity is the Hebrew Bible, or Old Testament. And in my own research, I found that Hebrew Bible prophecy is an attractive alternative model to Eastern religions or nature-based shamanic ones.
I don't know what to make of it. I'm just trying to keep my nose clean.
Because I have Tourette syndrome, so moderate rock.
No.
And so this is a winged snake, sort of like a dragon. And so it crawls on the ground like a reptile, and it's got an aerial aspect or a spiritual aspect. So here it's a snake, which is like the lowest form of reptilian life, say, something that crawls on the ground. It's something that's human, and it's something that's spiritual at the same time. And it inhabits the tree, which look a lot like magic mushrooms, by the way. And you can look that up if you want. That's quite an interesting little rabbit hole to wander down if you're curious about it.